Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code DRAYSON12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
All right, welcome to Rick's Corner. I got John Hart, Mr. America, back here again, and we're going to discuss some things of interest, as you know. And one of the things today is genetics versus hard work. It makes a big difference if you have the right genetics. We all know that. But everybody has certain body parts that grow better than other body parts. I mean, I just know for a fact that maybe your delts grow well, but maybe your chest doesn't, or your calves don't. Maybe you have great calves, but you can't get good arms.
Right.
And a lot of things factor into that, especially age as well.
Mm-hmm.
So natural training, as everybody talks about training natural, those guys with the good genetics are going to get ahead of the game because everything develops properly, right?
Absolutely. You're in my field now.
Yeah,
That's what
and
we're talking about.
it's good. If you have to do something to enhance it, and this is what you have to do. This is what it does in the world today, and I talk about it in the gym to a lot of people. I don't recommend it. I know people who have had severe setbacks and problems, but what are you going to do? This is how the world works. You can't fault everybody for what they're doing, and it really is none of your business or my business.
Right, absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, I did a thing on Rich, and everybody's happy that I put some stuff out there, and someone says, well, it's a rerun. I said, yeah, it's a rerun. This is the end of the year, and I pick the best videos I've had all year, and I run them for those who haven't seen them.
It was a great rerun.
Yeah, 99% of the people say, God, I never saw that one. I really liked it. And one guy said, I saw it, but I like it. I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it for all of you to enjoy, and it's not about making money. I think I make 18 cents a click on there. It's like hardly any money to speak of, and that's not why I do it. So I just want to clear the air on that right off the bat. Rich had, I knew him 25 years ago, and Rich had good genetics. He just had good genetics. No matter what he did, he would grow.
Absolutely. I met him 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were on a commercial together. And he absolutely did. I mean, he was monstrous back in 98, 99.
Right.
And that was before he really blew out in the arms and the shoulders. So he was monstrous everywhere.
He trained hard. He trained heavy. He did what it took to become a bodybuilder. His whole family was in the bodybuilding. And this is what it took. I mean, he started at a young age, and he just worked hard. All right, so later on in life, like a lot of guys, they decide to turn to the drugs and get bigger and bigger and bigger, which they all do. Mm-hmm. You can't say that they don't, but they do. And I'm not against it. I'm not going to find fault with it, but it definitely added to the body.
Right, it just is, man. I mean, he chose to do it. He chose to do it.
Yeah. I mean, what they give?
Personal choice.
They give racehorses drugs. They give cars nitro to run on. I mean, it's like everything in the world moves faster and better and bigger due to the outside stuff that comes into it.
Right, and you just made the big point right there. His mom and his dad were involved in bodybuilding.
Right.
Right, so the genetics, it wasn't just, that they handed down great genetics. He also had a work ethic.
Oh, yes.
He still came to the gym, still pumped it out, still trained hard. That was, and then if you've watched any of his videos, he stresses over and over again the eating. Mm-hmm. He ate like a mother. He ate for size, right?
He could eat. And
right.
I can't eat like that. I've tried, but it's just like I feel too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he did look good. There's no question about that. And then he went overboard. I mean, you can always get too big, and then it's not pleasing to look at anymore. But sometimes in people's heads, they're OCD, and they want to be the best, the biggest, and the whole thing. And this is what comes out of it.
Sure.
But Robbie Robinson, good genetics. He's got a good body, but the guy trains hard. He eats so clean, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is measured out, and he does train hard. Albert Beckel's in his prime, and a lot of you may not remember Albert. Albert's 87. He's still training people at Gold's Gym. Mm-hmm. He had serious back injury and surgeries, and he's still limping around the cane, but doing what he does. His idea of cheating on a diet was eating rice.
Right. And he was didn't he take second in the Olympia right up into his 50s?
Yeah, a double peak bicep.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
And I asked him on his bicep, "What'd you do for arms?" He says, he has an accent. He says, "I just did a little bit every day, just a couple of one exercise every day, just a little bit, and his biceps just grew."
Sure.
Where some of us would take 2 or 3 times a week and going heavy to get to go.
And he had a short bicep too, so that was a real weird one because he had a monster peak on the bicep and double split, but it wasn't super long,
No. It's Some of the guys today who have shorter arms get really good arms. You know, their bicep comes up nice. And I've seen some guys with triceps that have no bicep.
Yeah.
Just rounded out.
Just a gift.
So it's just a gift.
Or deficiency in some areas.
Right. Now, Doug Brignoli says you only train a muscle one way, that you can't isolate or specify different exercises for that muscle. It's not going to work. But I disagree.
Right. I disagree as well.
I would always do, when I was like 17, I would do, let's just say dumbbell curls together. And then I would do alternates. And then I'd do seated concentration curls.
Right.
I figured all three exercises would work the bicep really well. And it did. And I remember curling 65-pound dumbbells, which I can do about 15 pounds now. Those days will never happen again.
But you're still curling. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was still curling. I don't know that it added a lot of size, but I got a lot of strength.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I wasn't cheating. I never have cheated in exercise in my life. But I never had genetics. I didn't have what it took. I had a big rib cage, I had a small chest. I was 145 pounds and I was just kind of thin, and I had to work hard for everything I got. And most of it came from eating right after I found out how to eat.
Right, right. And everything we've ever talked about, too, the exercises that you chose for your workouts, you know, just as we both do disagree with what Doug had said, you know, as far as having the best exercise, one exercise for each body part, you know, you have a different structure, you have different attachments, you have different muscle lengths, muscle bellies are in different areas than myself.
Yes.
And in different body parts, we may agree on 8 great exercises, but then 9, 10, 11, and 12 may be completely different for your body than for mine. I don't get the hit that you get on it, or vice versa. And that's part of the genetic factor also. So
it's like smoking marijuana, you don't get the same hit.
2 different people, yeah, it's true.
There's a machine in the gym that you get. It's a curling machine, and it has a selector eyes behind. You lay back on, you can do your curls with this thing.
Right.
I see guys doing that, and their biceps are just coming out of the skin. It's looking really good. Nice. You feel that? I really feel it. I put 60 pounds, which is not a lot of weight at all, and I sat back and I did like 3 or 4 sets. I didn't get one thing out of it. I got no feel out of that at all. And I don't know. I thought there's something wrong with me, because if I go over to the incline bench with dumbbells, same movement, the same angle, then I feel it.
Right. So it's individual. This is something that just has to do with your muscle attachments, your bone length as well, and then how you're moving through the movement. That's the other thing as well.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about just basic genetics versus hard work, or even, you know, hard work being involved with genetics, it doesn't matter. Initially, you broke into this discussion of like natural, and then some guys are enhanced and things like that.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't freaking matter if we're talking about, you know, adding the hard work to the genetics. Whether you're on something or not, and you're natural, the genetics are always going to rise to the top. But now add in some hard work. Wow. I mean, a willingness to do it. Wow. I mean, that's just growth going to happen, natural or not, you know. So they're the best, still the best, you know. And then you combine a guy with great genetics in bodybuilding. That's where we have the difference between guys like, you know, in the 1990s, we had Dorian Yates and Flex Wheeler. Flex Wheeler had a much prettier physique. Dorian, you know, more, you know, pit bullish, dinosaur looking, right? And however, Dorian was willing to put in a little bit more of that extra hard work, and it resulted in grainier, denser muscle, harder look because of the diet, a willingness to suffer a little bit more on top of it all.
That's how Gaspari was.
Yeah. Oh, you just said it. He's the man. He's the man.
Maniac at training.
Absolutely. Gaspari during the Haney era.
Yeah. And he still trains hard.
Wow.
But have you seen Dorian lately?
He's small. He's older. He does yoga.
Okay, but he's not small. To us, he's small from where he was.
Relative to himself. Let's just say that. Not small.
To the average eye,
with all due respect.
I saw him without a shirt, and he looks great.
Really?
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah.
He's not where he was, but who cares? He still looks better than the average guy on the street by far.
Yeah.
So a lot of you have said, well, they wouldn't have got where they were if they weren't taking steroids. And like, I was training hard back in my day. You wouldn't have had the 150-pound dumbbells if you weren't on steroids. How do you know?
Right.
And maybe I would have.
Right.
Because I wasn't taking much of anything. I never have. And so I based it all on what I ate. I would leave the gym at Steve Davis's gym, and I'd go up the street to a fruit stand, and that, not nice, that part of town, but I would get all kinds of peaches and grapes and bananas and apples and stuff, and then eggs, and I would eat this all day long, my fruit, and my fruit gave me the energy to gain.
Right.
And I trained hard. I trained so hard. People said, 25 sets. I said, yeah, 25 sets. And I'd leave the gym, and I was tired. But I trained heavy and hard for 25 sets per body part.
Right.
And that would be 2 body parts a day. Yeah. So you put your time in. Today, people don't do that. They might do several, but when I look at them training, they're doing such a ridiculous form and lightweight, they're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, there's a lower volume of work on the whole, and the majority doing less volume than back in the golden era.
Yeah,
for sure. And and you mentioned the genetics about Dorian. Definitely has the frame. I remember when I was a trainer at Gold's in Venice, and he came in '97 during his prep for the last Olympia that he did, and he asked to work in on this one lateral machine that I was using on a client. And of course, I let him. I said, "Mr. Olympia, jump on, please." And he was his clavicles were out like this, and they were so wide. And his frame in general, that's where his clavicles were, not his delts. Like he had just a wider structure of the bones,
right,
up in the shoulder area. And it was apparent, Ronnie Coleman, when he came out to Gold's Gym in Pasadena, when I was out there training clients, he shook my hand. Those fingers wrapped around my hand. I mean, he was just a true mesomorph,
Yeah.
He had like an 18-inch forearm. He didn't train forearms. And he had just monster muscle all over his body. So, yes, it's genetic. And then you combine that with the weight training, and then in some cases with the drugs or without the drugs, they're going to look great. Mm-hmm. Either way, they're going to look great.
Yeah, it's not for me to criticize. When Arnold was, when he was much younger, he didn't have the structure for genetics. He had narrow shoulders, he had a wide waist, and he worked hard to achieve the difference. So it'd be just complete opposite. But boy, he could pack the delts on. I worked delts on for quite a while. And we would do the dumbbell presses up down the line and the standing laterals up and down the line, and those things work better than anything to put size on the delts, like real quick.
Right.
I don't think I could do it today because my shoulder injury is so bad that I don't know if I could press, but it sure worked at the time.
Yes.
Then we switched from doing, you do presses with dumbbells and then superset with standing laterals. The two together are awesome.
So tell me this, in that golden era, who do you think had the best shoulders?
Oh, God, I think, okay, Don Haworth.
Wow. Now, is that the widest shoulders or delt development?
All the way around.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I wish I would have seen him live. I've only seen pictures.
You know what they call it? Cannonball delts. Mm-hmm. Gladiator picks.
So he had all three heads fully developed. Rear delt, front, side.
Yeah. And then so did Larry Scott.
But he had narrow clavicles. That was the only difference, right?
No, Don Haworth had it. He had it all. A lot of the guys had good delts. They trained them properly. Zane did too, and so did Arnold, of course. But it was a lot of lateral movements.
Really?
They specified that working the rear delt and the side laterals and working them hard would bring the delts up more than the pressing.
So that's something that Rich used to say too. Rich Piana, I've seen the show with you guys where he was talking about doing lateral raises and just drop the presses, right? So he was all about front, side, rear laterals, right?
Well, last time I did presses in the gym was probably about 6 months ago, and I did something in my right shoulder, and wow, did that hurt. And so I haven't been able to do much like that now, but I got a cortisone shot in it. It helped a little bit, and I can work shoulders, but putting a shirt over my head is like, oh, God, does that hurt. So we all get those injuries, and we work through them, but I don't like being in pain like this. It's not fun.
No, it might be a product of something from years ago, or it could be more. It could be from wrestling, right? I mean, you guys do. Yes. That's another thing too. Cold Stone. When we were at World Gym, Stone.
No, Cold Stone's an ice cream. This is Stone Cold.
Stone Cold. I apologize. Stone Cold. So Stone Cold. We're at. That's true. We're at World Gym, and one day we're walking on the treadmill, and I asked him one day, just out of fun, I said to him, "So, tell me, Steve, is wrestling real?" Like this.
Oh, that's one thing. You don't want to ask that.
Oh! He pulls up his shirt. He shows me his elbow. It only goes this far. He pulls up his shorts. He shows me the scars on his legs.
Yeah.
He pulls up shows me the scars on the back. He shows me the scars on the shoulder. And he goes, I don't know, John. What do you think? I made these. This is just a bad memory, a bad dream to me.
Yeah, he says I have pieces of my body all over the United States.
Yes.
No, it's very painful, and there's a lot of injuries in wrestling, and you just can't sidestep them, so to speak, because they do happen. But what I've noticed lately, and I've talked to a lot of people that tell me they have numbness in their fingers and their hands, more than not, and I have it, and I thought it was carpal tunnel, and I had the surgery, and it didn't help.
Wrestlers or bodybuilders?
Bodybuilders do. People just in general. And so it's coming from I believe it's coming from your C6 in your neck. It's pinching
C6, C7, correct.
Yeah, it's pinching a nerve. Well, what happens from that, it goes down your arm and hits your fingers, and your fingers start to burn and they go numb, both hands. And then it also does something to your bicep and tricep or your arm that doesn't send the electrical message to them to respond when you work them. So you don't get a pump and nothing grows because your nerve is what makes everything and happen in your body.
Wow.
So when you have a pinched nerve and it's going down your arm and you say, God, I'm working arms and nothing's happening, guys, it's happening to me right now. It's from that pinched nerve because it's not feeding the muscle like it should.
I've worked with some people who had the nerve issue running down their arm or their leg, and man, they were just in pain, tortured.
Oh my God, my hands sometimes are like on fire. I was at the movies and they kept shaking it and trying to shake the blood into it to get circulation. It's like when you sleep and your arm falls asleep.
Right.
But then it starts to burn real bad on the fingers. It could be carpal tunnel, but it could also work its way from your neck because there's several things that go down that nerve. But if any of you guys experienced that, have it looked into. The carpal tunnel surgery was like really easy. I had it done. I watched the guy do it, and I went to lunch right after, and we got in the gym the next day. And not a big deal, but it definitely worked somewhat, not 100%, but 60%.
Yeah.
So anything you get after a certain age, your age and my age, is it takes hard work.
Man.
But there's only so much you can do at a certain age before you say, I just can't do this anymore. It's just too hard. It's too heavy. It's too painful. And mentally you want to do it, and physically you can't.
Well, I remember you had Richie on the show, right? Rich Gaspari on the show. And I've seen some videos on his Instagram. Man, he's still training. He's still blasting, hanging and banging, huh?
Still blasting it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just in him, right?
His body's changed. It's not the same.
In what way? What do you think?
Well, he's not the size that he had at all.
Well, yeah.
But who cares?
Right.
But he still looks good.
He still has some muscle all over him.
Yeah.
He still
trains hard. And I'm not the size that I was. My body weight is the same. Actually, it's a little heavier than it was, but I do watch my diet. But I had also said on the show that I had my thyroid checked, and I was like really low for a while. If any of you have fatigue and you're just listless and you move around and you just can't get anything done, even though you work hard at it, and I do, I was just, I don't even know how to say, I was just fatigued all the time. And nothing was responding on me. And my strength was going down. So I went and had a blood test. They said, your thyroid's low. You should go from 30 grains to 60. So I upped it 2 weeks ago on a Monday.
How do you feel?
At 8 a.m.
How do you feel?
By 10 a.m., I felt like a new man. I went to the gym and someone said, what happened to you? I said, why? They said, you're smiling, you're full of life, you got color in your face, you look like you feel good. I said, I've never felt better.
Yeah, but something else changed with you're walking a lot better, and you just look physically a lot better. I saw you get out of the car on the way here today.
I'm moving good.
And you for sure. I mean, you just took a leap back in the Wayback Machine about 5 years.
I did.
You know, the way that this man today got out of his car. I mean, it's healthy. Coming on. Very good. Happy for you.
I feel so good about it. I spent the past 2 years really suffering.
Yes.
And I didn't let it get me down. I did the show and I kept working out and doing what I had to do to get better at what I did. And last night, all of a sudden, I just started feeling better and better. And I got up this morning and nothing was really killing me. And I could walk to the kitchen and back and forth. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot to you guys. But for me to get to the bedroom to the kitchen without a cane, it was amazing. It was amazing that I could get out of bed and actually walk. And then I went to the gym, and of course I'm walking over. So, you're walking without a cane? I said, yeah, thank God. Don't rock the boat. Wow. But it does make you feel better, and it makes your mind feel better, and it makes you train harder because you know you're coming back and getting better at what you do. Because injury can really beat you down quite a bit.
Now, can I ask you? We mentioned earlier the thing about Richie Gaspari and the Lee Haney era, right? And how he was a hard worker, and possibly even harder than Lee Haney, we might say, or at least crazier about the training, right?
Oh yeah.
Lee worked very hard, but. You know who they remind me of, the two of them, is Franco and Arnold. I mean, I'm looking at the picture on the wall over there, and, genetically, right, Arnold was going to beat Franco, when they're both at full development. Arnold was going to take him, right? We saw that in Pumping Iron. He had an aesthetic physique. I mean, we're both looking at the picture on the wall over here. And Franco, being a shorter man, he just looks different and maybe not quite as aesthetic, due to height.
Okay, I have an answer for that. The reason why is because he was only like 5'5".
Right.
And anybody that short has thicker, denser muscles because their bone structure is everything shorter. But you could put your finger in his chest and he could flex his chest. You couldn't get your finger out.
Oh no! There were body parts on him that were scary, outright scary.
Yeah.
His chest, his back were just amazing.
He was a boxer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was quite an athlete. He'd stand behind a car and pick the car up right off the ground.
Yeah.
He'd do things like that.
Yeah, he did it.
But he was strong and he was thick and it was crazy how thick he was. Arnold,
so did they work out? I mean, the same work ethic, the two of them?
Yeah.
Very similar? I mean, we see now, I wasn't in the golden era, so of course we see now all of the old footage shows them as if they worked out together, were at the gym at the same time together, did the same exercises, similar effort, that type of thing.
Yeah, everybody back then, including Zane and Draper, and I'll get on Draper in a minute, and the rest of the guys, all had the same work ethic, and they would train hard, they would help each other. They'd spot each other. They'd push each other along. It's not like today. There was no music in the gym because Joe didn't want it.
Right, Joe Gold, right?
Yeah. And you couldn't drop the weights and make noise. He'd kick you out. But those guys that did were out of there. But the guys that we hung with, all of us trained hard. There was just no way around it. Chest and back day was pretty much all the same. That's all the same.
Right.
You all get together and squat together and push each other on the squats and that kind of stuff. But Dave Draper set him aside from the rest of them. He'd come in on his own, and he would grab a barbell and start curling like 135 pounds, maybe add some tens on it. And then after he curled it, he'd pick it over his head and do tricep extension standing.
Wow.
And every movement was exactly correct, just exact rep, every one of them. He was so focused and everything in detail, and he writes a lot of books, you know?
Right.
He has good writings, and he was saying something in his book about tuna. Eating out of a tuna can, get that last little tiny piece of tuna in the end of the can, because that could be another couple of grams of protein.
Right.
I think of that every time I have tuna. He didn't let anything get past him. But he trained hard, and he was a very, very nice person. And there's a story about him, and you guys will appreciate this. We have two piers here in Santa Monica. We have Santa Monica Pier, we had Ocean Park Pier, and then we had Venice Pier.
Right.
Ocean Park was an amusement pier, and it had all the rides and all that kind of stuff. And then it burnt down, and all that was left were the big pilings in the ocean, all the wood. Well, Draper went down at night, and he'd take those pilings out of the sand, and he'd carry them home. It was like carrying home a telephone pole.
Wow.
He'd cut it up and chisel it and make a bed out of it, or a table or a chair, and he had the best furniture you'd ever want to see that he made himself, and he made it out of that pier. So one night he got stopped by the cops, and they didn't want to mess with him because it was like Tom Thumb. You know?
Right.
Here he comes walking up the beach with a big telephone pole over
This
his shoulder.
monster blonde guy, right?
Yeah, he was just too powerful for them. But he made this table. I've said this story before, and he put it in Ed Giuliani's house. And Ed wanted to move it next door to Zabel's house, so 5 of us went over there to lift the table and move it next door and the chairs. And Eddie's wife came out and said, "Why is it taking 5 of you? Dave brought this over in a pickup by himself and put it in the house."
Oof.
That's how strong he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big, thick forearms, a lot of veins and all that.
And even till now, his work ethic, even as he got older, it was still there. I mean, he wrote on his website. I know I've read a lot about his training, even as he got older. Continued to train and blast away in the gym.
He had a couple of heart attacks and some back surgeries.
Right.
But he's been through everything. I think he died once on the table and came back to life. And he's a good friend of mine, and I've tried to get him to come on the show, but he won't. He doesn't want to talk to me. He's very introverted.
Yeah.
He won't talk to the public. He'll talk to me, but he won't get on here and talk. And it's too bad. He could have had a great career as an actor. They wanted him for a TV show called Gladiator.
Wow.
And he did Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
And a couple of things. Don't Make Waves with Tony Curtis.
Right.
And the girl that was killed by Manson. But that was it.
Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
Right.
But he didn't want that career, so he opened up 2 world gyms up in Santa Cruz.
You might have to split screen whatchamacallit with him.
The Skype?
Yeah.
I offered.
Oh, come on, you got to get him.
No, he won't do it. A lot of you guys have asked me to get certain people. He asked me to get Bill Pearl. Bill Pearl's getting really old. He's not too healthy. I can't get him. Ken Waller, I'm going to try. There's other people. Arnold, forget about it. He won't do anything. I don't know why, but he just won't. But maybe he'll bend one day. But there's people that you ask me to get, and you have to realize if they don't live here in Los Angeles, it's going to be hard. Because a lot of the guys that age don't know how to Skype. They don't know how to use a computer, so it makes it tough. So if they live around here, I'll get them. But if they live far away, unless they come to town for something, I can't get them on the show.
Right.
That's what's difficult. So I'm trying to get Hulk Hogan. He's had 7 back surgeries, and his son asked him, and I'd asked him about coming out. He said, if I get to California, I'll come do your show. But
was he in Florida?
Yeah. So I'm sure he will if he does. So I try. It's just I put it out there, but you got to understand these guys. Some of them just don't want to move.
How's Robbie doing these days? I meant to ask about
Robbie's doing much better.
Is he?
He's coming on here, by the way. He's been asking me to come back on, so he will.
Yeah. That's another person that, to me, I've seen him from the mid '80s, training at Gold's, Venice, Worlds in Venice, in Santa Monica, and then Marina Del Rey, of course. and I saw him training very hard. I mean, consistently hard, straight to, you know, into his 70s. Even when you had him on your show, he's still training hard. But that's genetics. To me, genetics combined with hard work.
Hard work. No, he's
wow.
There's no. It's hard work with him. He trains hard.
Yes.
He comes in with a hood over his head and sunglasses, and he's incognito, and we all know it's him, but you wouldn't know if you didn't know.
With abs. With abs.
Oh, he's always
to this
abs.
day. With abs,
Still
right?
got abs, yeah.
Yes.
Tony Pearson trains hard.
Same thing. Wow. Well, I always saw Tony Pearson as he and Robbie. Didn't he sort of emulate Robbie in some ways? I mean, he used to say he was like an idol of his, or is he?
Well, Tony Pearson, we used to call him Michael Jackson of bodybuilding.
Right.
Because he looked just like him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have Andreas Calling.
Yeah.
And Andreas is still in rock hard shape. He trains really hard. He eats right to the button on money. I mean, it's just like perfect diet.
See, these are inspirational stories right here, man.
These guys stand. I'll have Andreas back on. He's a really fun guy to have.
Right.
But he trains hard every day, and his diet is like perfect and never deviate at all.
I love hearing that.
No chocolate cake for him.
Well, he's vegan too, isn't he, or vegetarian?
Yeah, something like that, but I don't believe in that. I got to have my meat.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I got to have my skinned rabbit.
We're omnivores over here. A little bit of everything.
I've always trained on meat, and it's always worked. Now I hear that Arnold's not doing the meat thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also did real well for you guys out there who want to try. Try doing fish all the time. Fish actually worked really well.
Sure. Switching the protein around?
Yeah, it worked really well. I got much leaner.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in my best shape at one point, I was stopping at the fish broiler for lunch every day and having fish and rice, and then I'd barbecue fish at night, and then in the morning, of course, the eggs and all that, and then tuna in the middle. And once in a while chicken, and very rarely a steak. But it worked well.
As I'm getting older, you know, now I'm in my mid-50s, it's definitely a higher protein situation for me. You know, things have changed now where the carbs not as much anymore. So I've shifted. I look better, feel better, you know, overall.
Well,
to me.
Doug Brignoli just won his contest, Mr. Universe.
Yes, congratulations, Doug.
See how big and how great he looked?
Looked great.
Ripped to shreds. Well, what he did was he had protein and he had the fats, but he eliminated all carbs. See, we'd have the avocados and the egg yolks and all that, strictly fat and protein. He said the fat was used for energy and the protein built the muscle. And he really got in hard shape.
Did he have carbs at all?
None.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
No.
Wow.
And you people ask, how do you train without carbs? Because the fats take over.
Right. Well, the liver starts to convert, right?
Yeah.
It gets better after 2 weeks.
Yeah. So you don't want to mix the fats and the carbs together. Either have one or the other, because then you'll get fat.
One of them goes to fat cells, yeah?
It does. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, I'll just eat protein all day. Well, protein can turn to fat, too.
Yeah, too much?
If you eat too much of it. I like the amino acids. I think those are readily available to go right in your system.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's been very informative and fun.
Man. What did we cover? Like 10 subjects? We were bouncing today, huh?
Yeah, but you know, you guys, this is all good stuff.
Yes.
This is stuff that you get over years of experience and dealing with other people like that, and you learn from them and watching and talking. And when you get older and older and older, you develop all this stuff that you remembered, and it all comes out. Because there's things back in school that I hated, like history, and I didn't like math, I didn't like English, and now today I use them in everything I do. And some of the things I didn't want to remember, I do remember, you know, and they stick in my head, and they're good things. So you remember when your parents told you not to do certain things, you say, I'm never going to listen to you. Then you get older and you listen, you know what, they were right.
Yeah.
So then you tell your kids the same thing.
Mostly right.
Then they say, I'm not going to listen to you. I said, well, you will one day. All right, you guys. Thanks, John, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it.
And Mr. America Heart at YouTube is his channel, and you got to turn it on and watch. He's got some good stuff on there. In fact, he's taping this right now.
Yes.
And so where they subscribe to his channel. I think you'll be very happy if you do. He's a good
Thank
guy.
you.
Okay?
Appreciate that.
You got it, brother. Give me the money now. See you next time. Stay out of the ring.
Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code Drayson12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drayson, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrayson.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interests as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.